Up tonight, lawmakers and constituents mourning the loss of a longtime Northern California congressman, with flags flying at half-staff at the state capitol and the White House for Representative Doug LaMalfa.
The congressman has represented District 1 for more than a decade. That stretches from Sutter County all the way up to Oregon, and it includes Yuba City, Chico, Paradise, Redding, Red Bluff, and Susanville. The congressman is being remembered as a fierce defender of his home district. Thank you for joining us here for our News Tonight at 6. I'm Edie Lambert.
I'm Golston Dart. His major focuses included water, agriculture, and of course recovery from devastating wildfires that hit parts of his community. Here's what we know about his passing. The Butte County Sheriff's Office says that the 65-year-old LaMalfa was rushed to the hospital yesterday evening after a medical emergency at his home. He was taken into emergency surgery in Chico, but did not survive. The coroner will determine his cause of death.
Now, before he served in Congress, LaMalfa was a state lawmaker, and he continued to serve as a friend and as a mentor to some Republican lawmakers at our Capitol. Our political director, Ashley Zavala, is here now, and of course, they're just trying to process this very sudden news.
Yeah, it was an emotional day at the state Capitol, especially among Republicans, also Democrats too, though. I caught up with Assemblyman James Gallagher, who has served as the Assembly's Republican leader. Gallagher told us LaMalfa was the first lawmaker to hire him when LaMalfa served at the state Capitol back in the early 2000s. Gallagher considers LaMalfa a mentor. In our emotional conversation, we talked about his legacy, and I also asked how Gallagher will try to honor him moving forward. You might be surprised by what Gallagher had to say. Here's part of our conversation.
I remember him talking about how every time he would walk under the dome or he would be in the halls of Congress, like how special an opportunity that was, that he was the one guy that could be there to speak for, you know, our district. And that so many had come before, you know, those great, you know, statesmen of our country that had walked those same halls, that he was getting to do that. You know, a rice farmer from Richville, right? Was doing that same thing, and he did it really well. I mean, I think there's a lot of things, from wildfire policy to water policy to recovery that we had that never would have happened without Doug LaMalfa.
On that, and I don't know if you've had a chance to consider this or think about it. I know this is all still so fresh, but is there any policy push effort that he carried that you'll try to carry, you know, in his honor, or something, some extension of his work that you'll do? You
know, what's funny is, like, he would always call me, because he really wanted to have 8-letter license plate. So I've been running this bill, I think, for like 3 years now. And he was always like, we need to have, you know, the option to get 8 letters on the license plate. And he would call me and say, hey, you're gonna get that bill through. And so I have been running it. It's a heavy lift, but maybe the 8-letter license plate might get through, you know, in memory of Doug LaMalfa, you know. On a serious note, like, he, you know, and by the way, he would say that is a serious note, okay? Like, 8-letter license plate is important, yeah. But I mean, like, you know, he did so much on the wildfire front, water. I think the president today just talked about that, how every time he would talk to Doug, it would be about water and how we needed to do better. And he sat Governor Newsom down in his office in the Capitol, went over the whole water system and explained to him, you know, why we needed better infrastructure. I think Doug LaMalfa is like what we need more of in our politics right now. And if everybody represented their district like Doug did, we'd be in a much better place. Yeah. And so I think that's a lesson everybody can take away from his life and his service.
That 8-letter license plate proposal actually has a hearing scheduled for Monday afternoon at the state capitol. It's a bill that LaMalfa has been running since 2011. As you can see, LaMalfa had a deep impression on some of our state's leaders.
Nice to see Assemblymember Gallagher able to smile through his grief as he's thinking about his mentor and the work ahead and continuing that legacy. So a lot of people are focused on the balance of power in Congress right now. What happens with LaMalfa's seat?
Yeah, this was a shock to many. No one was expecting this. Governor Gavin Newsom, by state law, has to call a special election to fill LaMalfa's seat for the rest of the year. That call needs to happen within the next 2 weeks. We are expected to have more information from the governor about this. I know you'll talk about it soon. The governor, I think, taking today, though, to allow everyone from both sides of the aisle to mourn this loss here in our state.
Yeah, he certainly leaves a big legacy.
Right.
Thank you.